But anyway, do you think we should be paying these people basically to go back to Albania? £1,500 is basically the sum of money. They have to waiver their rights to appeal and all the rest of it. Some of them, I reckon they'd be back here in 5 minutes if they took up that offer. Martin, what do you make to it all?
Well, it's symptomatic of an utterly broken system. The fact that anybody from Albania is classified as somebody who can be human trafficked or victim of slavery. Albania is a safe country. Other very progressive European countries, EU member states such as Sweden, does it even recognise Albanians as somebody, as a country worthwhile of asylum,
and
simply because it shouldn't be.
And didn't Sweden, correct me if I'm wrong, my memory, I'm getting old these days, didn't they just push this through as like a very quick, short bill that said, it was so simple, it basically said, it's designated a safe country. It wasn't this convoluted, complex, 70,000-page legal document.
You are correct. And, of course, Sweden is an EU member state. So let's not use the European Union as a bogeyman why we can't do this. It's a lack of political guts. It's a lack of will. Sunak hasn't got a hand on this whatsoever. The very notion we should pay people to clear off out of the country because it's cheaper than allowing them to go through a kind of drawn-out legal process utterly exemplifies how ridiculous our country has become. They shouldn't be allowed in the first place, and they should be sent straight back if so. And the notion of paying criminality, I think, will make viewers at home headbutt their tables in despair.
Don't headbutt your table in despair, because it's tea time. You've probably got your tea in it. If you headbutt your table, you're going to end up with your pie and mash or whatever you're eating all over your forehead. That's not a good look. This is a facilitated return scheme, it's called, by the way, if you want to look into it more. Aaron, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think there's a few points here. Firstly, I think that's right, that Albania is not Afghanistan, it's not Iraq, it's not Syria. I think that's quite clear. And people seeking political asylum here from Albania, I think is a strange thing, personally. Let's park that. The case here in regards to £1,500 is a man he's called, I think, him Mark by the BBC. He was given 6 years for a drugs-related offence, so he's going to serve 2/3 of that. He'll serve 4 years, because drugs isn't like most offences. You actually tend to serve most of the time in
Let me
prison.
ask you this.
Please.
You see, I am not in charge of this country, but if I was... So this fella, what did you just call him? Mark?
Mark, as a pseudonym, yeah.
Mark, right. So Mark, he does this, drug offence?
Yeah.
See, I wouldn't
Sounds
have
like
any
dealing,
of it.
right? Yeah.
But I wouldn't have any of it. I wouldn't even... Why is he housed then in a UK prison? Why isn't he then deported at that point?
Well, so hold on. I think, to an extent, that's where this £1,500 thing comes in, right?
No, because he's already in prison. He's been in prison,
yeah.
and now he's getting £1,500 and a year off his sentence to go back. Well, why are you in this prison in the first place?
I think Prime Minister Michel would probably save even more money than this, but what they're claiming is... Look, I think per year, to have somebody in prison in this country is around £55,000, £60,000 a year. What they would say is, look, he's been in there for 2 years, he'd have to serve another 2, we'd be spending, as the taxpayer, 120, 130 grand on the guy. Instead, we can give him £1,500 to go back. Now, what Martin would say is, well, he may return. Well, and you're creating incentives for people to come here.
But what's he doing in the UK prison in the first place? This is what I'm not... If he's an Albanian national that's then committed crime here, why is he not deported at the point of criminality? Gone.
Well, the legal laws, forgive me if I'm mistaken, is if you've been in the country for more than 1 year, then you are at the whim of the UK judiciary system, therefore you serve your sentence here. But you're right about the return, because 1,000 of these people have returned. Among them violent criminals and drug dealers. So we have yo-yo illegals who are being kicked out of the country and are coming straight back in. And that's the point. Where's the deterrent? If you're avoiding Choki in Britain, you're getting Dosh to go back to Albania, you're getting out in a short term, you're coming straight back to repeat criminality. It's insane, Michelle.
It is insane.
Do we know that? I mean, I do wonder, that even if there's 500 or 600 people like Mark who basically aren't in prison, aren't costing us money at His Majesty's pleasure... I mean, I wonder, I'd love to see the numbers on it, frankly. How many, have been given this kind of money? Because and what the savings look like. Because, it might not... I don't like the sound of it, but it might be saving the taxpayer serious money.
Do you know what I think it's time for when it comes to all of this migration, illegal migration situation? I think it's time for this government to grow a pair of balls and to actually say, you know what, we're going to lead by example, whether it's Rwanda or whatever policy it is that they deem is the appropriate one, and we're going to do it, and then we're going to deal with the consequences afterwards. Instead of all this pussyfooting around, sitting there, desperately trying to get all these ducks in a row, which they're never going to do. They're never going to be able to get all the ducks in the row and make this perfect situation and then be able to do what it is. Just, you know what? This is our policy. We're going to do it. We will deal with the consequences afterwards, whatever they may be. That's, if I was the Prime Minister, what I would do.
If we had people like you in control, then we might have some common sense. Unfortunately, we've got this shower.
Well,
and that's why it's not happening, Michelle.